Hey, you're listening to Stop the Scroll, a social media marketing podcast, and I'm your host, Heidi Schmidt. I'm a social media strategist and agency owner with over 15 years of marketing experiences helping businesses grow online. We'll be diving into what you need to know so that you can show up confidently online without the overwhelm. Get your notebook ready to jot down some amazing marketing gems, and let's dive into it. All right. Welcome back to another episode of Stop the Scroll. I'm your host, Heidi Schmidt, and I have an amazing guest on with me today. Her name is Kat Valverde, and she owns a full-service digital marketing agency, Profesh. And her bio is with Joy in her heart, an MBA, a Harvard Organizational Psych Masters in progress, and over $5 million in direct revenue created for clients to date. Kat is excited to laugh, take a deep breath, and crack open the spreadsheets with us. I'm super excited because she has such a great background in digital marketing and focuses a lot on the value-based partnerships. Welcome, Kat. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited to talk about all of the fun marketing things. I love talking with other marketers. Tell me a little bit more about you, your background, your agency, and what you guys kind of focus on.
Sure. Yeah. So like you said, I, have a full service digital marketing agency. So we can do anything from content to branding, to advertising, email marketing, like the whole enchilada. But what we are really, really focused on is email marketing. And I have built my entire career on developing the skill that takes, seemingly really complicated topics and helps my clients dilute them so that they can really resonate with a larger audience. My background is in fintech. I started right out of grad school I got my MBA, and my first job out of that was at a startup doing taxes and payroll. So consulting for that, which is not a super sexy industry. I was there for about 10 years and, worked my way up the ladder into leadership. But that is the skill. As I moved into working for myself, I had to really think, okay, if it's marketing, what does that even mean? Because it's such a huge industry. And, in reflecting, that's what I realized I had really developed over a decade was leadership experience for sure, communication experience, but especially, working in taxes and payroll, taking these super, super intricate, boring, complex topics and helping our clients understand them. Most of them were just normal, moms and dads like us. They, in fact, were hiring, their whole need was they were hiring nannies and elder care providers in their homes and needed to figure out taxes and payroll for them. So it was this really unique, really niche part of financial tech. And I creatively and through a lot of self-reflection have figured out how to take those skills and apply them in digital marketing. And it's been a lot of fun, actually, really getting to learn some very niche topics and help my clients, spread it out.
I find that that's one of the best things about marketing is you learn so much about some really, really sometimes obscure topics.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like I'm so insufferable to my friends. I have really fun facts about a lot of random things.
Kind of sent a list of questions over that you were ready to answer. And I really liked some of what you had talked about outsourcing. And I feel like agency owner to agency owner, tell us a little bit about how you kind of set the expectations with clients and even back to your fintech days about outsourcing and how much people should expect to spend. Because I feel like oftentimes, especially in the marketing space, people are kind of get sticker shock and it's
Yes. Yeah, I would say first, and I know you can identify this as a marketer, you get what you pay for, certainly. And it's such a hard balance, right? Because as small business owners, we are looking for a good deal, but we also get what we pay for. And, as we are employing more and more people and more partnerships, we do also have a responsibility to make sure that there's an equitable relationship. And so when it comes to a dollar amount, I tell people one, I'm the queen of some free trials. And even if they don't offer it, I ask. So that's my first pro tip. Yo, yeah, we try something here for a couple weeks so I can really experience it. But two, go into it with a percentage in your mind, which should really, be a part of your budgeting. So I know if I need a graphic designer that I'm outsourcing some projects on, I need to know what I'm expecting to make on that project beforehand. And then I work backwards from that. So, okay, now what can I pay this graphic designer that will still allow me to have a good, end result and profit and revenue? And that is really personal. But what I do say is I have had very, very good luck, both with word of mouth clients and return clients, but also with the people I work with. And this is everything. Like it saves me time and it saves me money because I am not cheaping out. Like, uh,
Yeah.
right? Like, and that's the thing is I also save myself a lot of time because I have had, outsourcing experiences where I'm not super happy. And I feel even more justified cutting those relationships because I know that I'm paying very, very competitively and I'm not, shipping these overseas and expecting to pay, $1 when I should be paying 25. And in fact, I actually do have some people that have worked for me in the Philippines. And if I'm going to pay 25 in the US, I pay 25 in the Philippines. And then I get some
Hmm.
really, really, really good work. And then my clients are really, really happy. So that's the spiel I usually give is I can't necessarily put a dollar on it, but I do expect to pay top of the line. And that usually ends up being at least 25% of whatever I'm going to make. And it's worked out beautifully for me.
Yeah. And I think I've heard from various like bookkeepers and accountants that like marketing should be about 20% of your overall business budget.
Yep.
And I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of people don't really understand that. And they try
Or
to be
understand
like,
why.
well, yeah, like
Yes.
if marketing is what's bringing you in money, like you want to invest in that.
Yes. And I would say I have had a lot of questions recently, and I do think that this is because all of us are sick of paying for ads. Like, I don't pay for ads anymore. I tell my clients, like, let's find other ways, whether that is email marketing or something else. I have had a lot of people ask me about influencers, like social media influencers. Is that the right avenue for marketing if we're, trying to figure out where to put our dollar if it's not in an ad? And I think it's so interesting. I'd love your take on it too, because usually say very similar to what we've already said, like, heck yeah, maybe if that's going to resonate with your audience, it's worth a try. So try it just like when we're honing our ads or we're honing our emails, what is resonating. However, you have to make sure that that partnership is working and that it's equitable for both of you and, that you're not putting all of your eggs in that one basket. And that's the other key. Like you have that 20%, 25% that you're spending on marketing. Where are you putting those dollars and how are you spreading them out? And then that way you have some, A, B, C, and D tests to see what's resonating. And if one fails, you're not totally screwed for the month, right? Like you still
Yeah.
have other pathways.
And I feel like that's true of a lot of things in marketing is that you have a lot of business owners who are relying solely on one marketing channel. And you and I had started talking about email marketing, and you had said that you were focusing more on email marketing. Let's kind of talk about those email strategies and why email is so important and how to kind of get out of this pay to play mindset. And I feel like social media, like I focus more on social media, like social media is so pay to play.
Yes.
And we know that like reach has gone down, engagement has gone down, and it's not something that you control. Like we have no
Yep.
control over that. We can do all the
Yes.
right things in the world.
Yeah. And you know what kills me about that is, I believe very deeply that it goes hand in hand with what we're seeing when we're, let's take Meta, for example, take some socials and we are paying a monthly spend for a specific post or a specific, ad or whatever. It goes hand in hand with spending on Google for ads for a long time, I feel like we've done the work to really hone that message, find our audience, and it's like a eureka moment. Like, okay, I figured out what's working. This ad, this is the spot. I know what I'm going to have to spend in this month, and then I can have a reasonable expectation of what return I'm going to get, how many leads, and then how many of them will convert. And I feel like it was like that for a really, really long time. And then this pay to play, it was like times 10. All of a sudden, things stopped working. For a long time, I was able to keep a pretty good, like steady hand on the pulse of new algorithms, like Instagram, Facebook, I mean, Meta in general. Google's really guilty of this, releasing new features or changing the way their algorithms work. I was able to keep a pretty good hand on that. And now it's just out of control. I feel like I have no way to know exactly what's going on or why things aren't working anymore. It's just so, it fluctuates so much. And what I have seen from clients is they'll say, okay, if I was spending $1,000 a month on ads wherever they are, I guess I'll just try spending 2,000 and see what happens. And then all of a sudden, okay, cool. They're getting their engagement back. However, it's the engagement they were getting from $1,000. And then I'm seeing that increase to 3,000 to 4,000. So we're seeing this insane, unsustainable increase. So to get back to your question, that's why, it was a forcing function for me, to be honest. Like, this is not scalable for me or my clients. What the heck do we do? And it was a return to email marketing as a focus. Like, if I were going to put all of my eggs in one basket, that's where I would put it because I own it. Like, I am in charge of that list. And then it is naturally a healthy relationship with socials because typically that's where audiences are, right? I
Mhm.
want to keep growing this email list and growing my clients. I'm going to have to go find out where they're hanging out. And that's usually Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn is a big one. And I feel like they're getting bigger. TikTok now with TikTok Shop. There's so many different places we can find them. And that's where we're able to offer them something for free, some sort of a lead gate, and then get,
Mhm.
their information as an exchange and get them added to our email lists. And so what I'm seeing and practicing and pushing a lot is, hey, if this insane increase in ads keeps going, this pay to play is can't play anymore. It's so expensive.
Mhm.
What the heck do we do? Or if it isn't even about ads, if it's about, Meta deciding they don't like my content anymore and I've now been booted, that's not in my control. YouTube, I've seen, has done this quite a lot in the last year where, creators are booted without a real reason. And then everyone's starting from scratch. And making sure that you're moving people off of whatever that platform is that you're on onto an email list is a game-changing, life-saving solution. And then, you can connect with them directly however you'd like for, forever. There's no hands in that pot. And that's the big sell for really focusing on this.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And it's funny that you talk about YouTube because I just moved my podcast onto YouTube and it like took it down. Like I got this email notification at 5 o'clock on Friday and it was like, we've removed your content. And I was like, wait, what?
Right. Like, okay, but
And like 20
why?
minutes later, it's like, oh, we found this was an error and your content's all back. And then, but like I posted a YouTube short the other day and usually like, I mean, I haven't invested much time into YouTube, but like
Mhm.
a short that I put up yesterday literally had no views. It's
Yeah.
like,
Like, what is going on? And I think that's the other thing is it's like, okay, that's fine. I'm happy to learn. Like, I'm happy to figure out what you guys want me to do, but please tell me. Like, tell me what this is. Errors happen. Okay. But please just, tell me what I don't know so that I can avoid this. But what's going on is, a lot of it is automated behind the scenes and it's a bot. I actually have a lot of clients, a lot of political clients lately. And in that way, it makes sense. Like there's a lot of things going on social channels with politics, and a lot of things are getting removed. And that's expected. But what could it possibly have been in your YouTube short or your YouTube video that they are trying to
right?
suppress something? Like, this is crazy. So, that's exactly the thing is it, there's no way that we don't use them because that's where all of us are, like hanging out.
Mhm.
But those are where you have to really protect your eggs and moving people off of that platform while they're listening, saying like, hey, make sure you subscribe. I send, free goodies or, updates or sneak peeks or, whatever it is that will resonate. You're going to thank yourself later. For future versions of us are going to look back and be like, oh, thank God. Thank God we did this.
Talking about investing in email marketing, what are some of those strategies that you, especially if you're working with a business who doesn't have that ad revenue, how do you strategize that list growth?
Yes. It's like a chicken and egg situation. Like
Hmm.
where do we start and then where are we going? And I do work with, there's two main groups of people in my mind and that I see a lot. On the one hand, you don't really have a list, and so you have to start somewhere. And in that case, your first step is to figure out where your people are hanging out. Like, who is your audience? Where are they? And what is something you can offer them that is free for them, but it's also high value enough that they are willing to give you their email in exchange? Like, what is
Hmm.
that? And that can be trickier than it sounds because, especially now, I think, consumers, we're getting savvier and savvier about giving our emails away because we're getting spammed so much. We're sick of it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
the worst. And so, that part is getting a little bit more difficult as time goes on. But that's why, building your brand based on values and early on, like making sure you're being really transparent and building trust so that they are happy to give you their contact information. And then they are actually really excited when they get emails from you. Like, that's the new challenge, right? An example I used recently that I like a lot because it does really show the relationship between socials and getting these contacts is, you might have, let's say that you're a baker and you're doing it for fun, but you're looking to like really formalize this and start a small business on your own. And you had one post that went super viral. I had a client that did this. Now they're a local baker here in Austin where I am, and they have a few million followers. Like, it's crazy. They had a post that went viral. It was just like one of those rainbow sprinkle videos that got really popular, and a cake. And we capitalized on that moment. Going viral isn't always the goal. It doesn't have as much financial value
Yeah.
as you might think. But they boosted that post on Instagram for a few bucks a day. And the call to action on the video was, hey, like, get the recipe for this cake for free. And when you clicked it, it took you to their website. They signed up for they threw in their email and their name. And then they got not just the recipe, but then they got like a digital cookbook of certain desserts that are really like Instagrammable, something that that
Hmm.
specific audience would really, really like. And it was the right moment because that post was already, getting in front of a ton of people. And so that's a really good way to start. It doesn't have to be viral, right? Like, but it is making sure you know what your audience would find valuable up front.
Hmm.
I have a lot of like tech clients as well, like other graphic designers, for example. They don't want to do marketing, but they're happy to create things for it.
Yes. Yep.
Right? And a lot of them, they offer things like templates, like Photoshop templates or book markups to be able, or mock-ups to be able to throw in your
Hmm.
images and create, images of your book. Things like that, that non-graphic designers, they either are going to have to go pay for that somewhere else anyway, like on a stock website, or they can get it for free and send you their email, and it's a nice exchange. So things like that can be really helpful and actually build trust because it is something that's actually genuinely valuable that you'd have to pay for elsewhere. So like, heck yeah, here's my
Hmm.
email and keep sending them?
Yeah.
So that's in a nutshell what you want to think about, and to be easy on yourself because, it's not always going to resonate. So it's a test and iterate, but far lower cost, like much, much lower cost, and sometimes no cost at all to just play around with it.
Yeah. Is there, aside from like the baking client, which is sounds like an amazing campaign, are there other success stories that you've had where email marketing has significantly impacted their revenue or engagement or just their bottom line in general?
Yes. Yeah. I ask myself sometimes, am I focusing on this because of the value, which, yes, of course, but also the dopamine hits I get from it are so strong because it's so exciting. And I mean, once you find your offer, it always works, right? Like, the hard part where it's not 100% success is figuring out the offer and figuring out what will resonate. But once you find that, it will work. And so what we do now is, the second part of that, you're building your list. And then the second part is, okay, now we have a pretty established list of clients, of, people who have subscribed and maybe aren't a client yet, followers, things like that, old colleagues, anybody I can think
Hmm.
of that would resonate with what I have, I throw them on my list. And super exciting to see. So, for example, one of the programs that we run is you take your current list. So let's say you are already pretty established and you're trying to scale, but you don't have a freaking dollar for advertising or an extra minute in the day. Like this is all really time
Hmm.
consuming stuff. So I took a client and said, okay, we're going to go through your email list and together we're going to rank. Let's say you had 100. I mean, they had more than that, but just for this example, go through and let's rank your most profitable client and or your most engaged person. Maybe they're opening every single email that you send. They're liking all of your posts.
Hmm.
You know that they're really into what you've got. Let's rank them from the most profitable to the least out of this 100. And let's take the top 10% and we're going to reach out to them and say, hey, how is it going? How's it actually going? How's business? How are you feeling? The world's crazy. 2024 is volatile. Just checking in. And the response rates to that, because it's personal, this is not a bot sending it, this is genuinely like me and my team just asking, is pretty high. And you get responses. Some of them say, oh, everything's great. They don't really want to talk about it, which is fine. But others are offering up their real pain points like, oh, it's going, but we don't know why we're not getting the engagement we were, or we're struggling with finding ways to get this certain offer really off the ground. People aren't digging it, but we really thought they would. The data said that they would really like it. They're
Hmm.
sharing this stuff for free. And it turns out to be basically like free R&D because people are telling you in the industry
Hmm.
really what's hurting. So take that back to the drawing board with the team and start brainstorming. Okay, well, we know what their pain points are. What can we do? Like, what is it that we can offer that will solve their problems?
Hmm.
And then you go back with that offer and say, hey, you said this was the problem. This is what we came up with. And, we're really, really grateful because we're sure other people are struggling with this as well. Like, are you interested in this at a discount? Like, let's try this out. And, that works. I cannot tell you. I mean, I don't want to put a percentage on it, but at least half of the time they say yes because it's so direct. But then what's great about this is you've gotten some insights into this specific industry and you can apply this to the rest of your email list. So now you've talked to the top 10 people, you're offering this to the full 100, saying like, this is our new service. What are you thinking? And immediately, I mean, the price points on this coach's service was, I mean, I think it was like $10,000, like something crazy for one program. But I mean, then you sell three and all of a sudden you've just made $30,000 in, a day. It's taken an hour of your time. And that's, I mean, that's one example, but that's what we're seeing is spending that time up front. And it is time consuming, to be fair. That's why people hire us to do it for them.
Hmm.
But you can do it yourself, and you have the data there already, and you've already proven yourself a trusted, high quality service or product that we are able to like increase revenues at insane amounts in a short amount of time. Like that's really the crazy kicker. And I do this and I don't pay for ads anymore. I'm a marketer. Like I do not pay for ads. So that's what I mean when I say like the dopamine hit of it is incredible.
I am going to, that is like my biggest takeaway is like comb through your email list and find the opportunities.
Yes.
And yeah, I definitely think that people underestimate the power of email, but also they underestimate the power of the list and like the hidden data that if you go digging, if you do a little bit of mining,
Yeah.
it's all there.
Yeah. And what's incredible about it is you've already done the work to build those relationships, right? Like most of them, they
Hmm.
already know you and love you. So it's just capitalizing on the work you've already done.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of thinking about this and trends and challenges, like how do businesses adapt to, not just like, because not everyone has the ability to outsource, but, obviously this is a great solution to the declining reach and engagement on social. But how do businesses adapt to these and how do they adopt trends? And we know that at least in the social world, like not every trend is for every business, but how do
Hmm.
you kind of advise on those?
Yes. I would say we have to get more comfortable with what I call fast failure. And really what that is we have to test things. And
Hmm.
I see so much. And the bigger the business gets, the more of a problem this is. So, small businesses out there, let's just not take this trait on, is the slower we are to pull the band-aid, like just to rip the band-aid on something new. Like we know things that aren't working, we know what's broken, and the like desire to make sure something is perfect before we roll it out and try it, or before we A/B test something, like that is a very, very strong desire, and it just hurts us. It wastes time, it wastes money. Like rip that band-aid, try something new so you can see really quickly if it doesn't work, and then you can pull it back. Like that's
Hmm.
just saving yourself time and money. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, let's not be afraid to innovate around the innovation. Like we have these things coming down. We have AI, we have ChatGPT, Search GPT is coming quickly, and that's going to change how Google works forever. I mean, we're not going to be able to Google something anymore in the way we do now. And all of that is impacting ad spend, right? Like what's happening is these things are coming, and Google and Meta, OpenAI now has a really big hand in all of these. They're all partnered. They're charging as much as they can for ads, and they're changing these algorithms as much as they can in anticipation of this because they're trying to really, really, really generate as much revenue as they can beforehand. So what we have
Hmm.
to do is one, email marketing is a really good example. Like, don't be afraid to go back to the drawing board and think about things that might feel outdated, but in reality, we left them behind because, we had all of these new innovations. There's a lot we've left on the table that's meaty. But two, I would
Feel like that's
say,
the case with blogging also. I feel like that's the case
yes,
with blogging also. People underestimate the power of long form content. Like,
yes,
whew,
it's
sorry to
everything. And
interrupt.
it's no, please keep it coming. That's so, so true. And really does go hand in hand with your email marketing, especially just a little tangent, because the things you write on your blogs, you can then put in your emails. Like it's easy. So
Hmm.
you rank, your SEO is automatically like helped, your rankings, helped your authenticity and your brand, like giving, those are more things you're giving away for free. And so, yes, oh my gosh, so true. And, the other piece to it, for me at least, was I had to really think, okay, I am tapped emotionally with my time, with my money, and I'm fine. I'm so tapped with my time because I have a full book of clients, but I don't have any time to take on one more client or to go find them, and that's scary. I don't know what the future holds, and I certainly can't retire tomorrow. So I need a plan to get me from, my mid 30s to my end of days, and this is not it because I'm tired. I'm burnt out. So, you can feel stuck. And I would say, being adaptable and being open to thinking about just things that might not have felt possible before. So for example, I knew like, gosh, earlier this year, I needed help, but I could not afford anybody. I mean, I couldn't bring on employees. I couldn't pay any more for any more services to help me. And so I said, you know what? I'm just going to ask. I'm just going to put it out there on LinkedIn. I put a job posting up that was super clear. Like, hey, I'm looking for either some commission only or some partnerships. Like this is Profesh. We're looking to scale. I'd love to bring on employees and pay them really, really well in the long term, but like we're struggling, but this is a good opportunity for anybody who has some extra time and is open to this. And I really didn't expect any like actual genuine response. And the response I got was overwhelming. In fact, I have some people working for me still today on the side, very, very happy. And their feedback whenever I first started interviewing was, oh, I replied because it was clear a human wrote this. And, and I'm so sick of like going through looking for these side gigs where this is a bot or there's 1,000 responses or, it really
Hmm.
surprised me. And it was a good validation for me to say, okay, you know what? Maybe I need to stop telling myself things aren't going to work and just start trying things and just start asking people. And it turned out to be the best thing I ever did because the people I brought on are so smart and smarter than me in a lot of ways. And we've been able to build partnerships together. The way that we run our business now, even is we don't charge a dollar. up front for any of these. Like if you want us to look at your email lists, for example, like we're doing pilot programs now for brands that are aligned where we say, okay, we're not going to charge anything. We're just going to invest the time and money up front. And when you start bringing in clients, like maybe we do a 50-50 split. Like, let's talk about that. Are we doing an 80-20 split if you want to do the bulk of the work? Like, we have found ways to get clients that otherwise we wouldn't have gotten because they couldn't afford it, and also help other people scale to get around problems that we ourselves experienced because they don't have money up front. It's been life changing. I mean, not just for me, but for our partners, and is really exciting to think, okay, we can really work around this. Like we're all having this problem rather than just saying, oh, capitalism's deciding. We're saying, no, no, like we are going to decide. We will decide how this works. And it's really fun and really empowering.
And I feel like that goes hand in hand with what you were saying earlier before we jumped on about being aligned in your values and finding partners that are aligned in your values. And I done a lot of work this past year on, the values of my business and the clients that I want to be aligned with. And I feel like once you get clarity on your business values, like you attract those that are also in line with that.
Yes, it's so true. It's part manifesting it. It's part like giving yourself permission a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Like the rules are so burnt into us, and I don't know where they came from, but we have them. Like, oh, these are the rules we play by, and certain things are just not possible because it's not how it's done. But in reality, we're all exhausted by them. Like we're following these rules we don't agree with and that are killing us. So, manifesting it, giving ourselves permission to let it happen and then to go and just try. Like what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. What kind of advice do you have for businesses who are apprehensive about just investing in their marketing or feel like they don't know where to start with either outsourcing or even like what strategies to focus on? Like what's kind of your last kind of piece of advice here to kind of wrap things up?
Yeah, yeah. I would say most importantly, don't get discouraged. And if you do, just do it anyway. Right? Be unsure and push forward. I get scared and stressed out all the time and I tell myself that's fine. I'm just going to do it anyway. So that's the first, personal and professional advice. And then I would say, don't think that there aren't resources out there. Like we are all in this and we are all struggling with pretty much the same things. And I can say that with authority talking to other small businesses and being one myself. Like we're all struggling. And so, do some Google searches, get onto Reddit, get onto LinkedIn and start like very directly looking for free resources for advice. And I mean, my programs are an example. I'll just do a quick plug. Like go to emailrevamp.com if you are looking to maybe join a pilot program because we do not charge up front and we are starting new programs soon. Things like that, though, because we aren't the only ones. Like maybe it isn't email, like your emails are tight, you're great with that. Maybe it is something like, okay, I need to figure out my socials. Go out and do some Googling on what is happening, one with socials, and what resources are there because other people have gone through this before us. And there are more people than we think, than I realized, that are willing to help whether that be, their services at a revenue share platform rather than, structuring it traditionally, or they're just answering questions for free, right? Like you don't necessarily even have to sit on a webinar, but the number of threads that I've read that just give advice or tell you what not to do, it has saved me a lot of time
Mm-hmm.
and also just made me feel better. Like, okay, not alone. I will figure this out. So those are
Yeah.
two pieces.
Awesome. Thank you so, so much. How can people get in touch with you?
Yes. Please find me on LinkedIn, Kat Valverde. I also have a business page on there, Profesh. I'm on all the socials. And you can also book some time with me if you go to emailrevamp.com. You can sign up for the waitlist for the pilot program webinar. Like we give all of the stuff away for free that we're doing. You can just, if you want to try to DIY. But there's also a link there to book some time with me and we can chat for half an hour and just kind of talk about what you're going through. I'm happy to connect with people and see if we can help.
Thank you so much for your time. This was such a great conversation. Listeners, if you please go connect with Kat, she's a wealth of knowledge. Like, I'm going to go revamp my email list today. And be sure to follow us on Instagram, Threads, all the places at Heidi Schmidt Creative, and leave a review if you found this helpful, and definitely share with your friends. Until next time, thank you so much for listening, and go forth, create great content that stops the scroll.